Hello right bags, it's Jade. Welcome to a special video. 10 months ago I did this video called Conan vs ARK. I really just wanted to show off two great survival games and maybe do a little bit of a cheeky one about what I thought was best. Loads of people were hyped up about Conan as it launched just a couple of months beforehand, and ARK was still riding a pretty big high. 10 months on though, what is the best game in 2019? What do they both have to offer for people? And of course now everyone's been playing Conan Exiles on PS4 as part of the PS Plus promotion. Are you interested in more survival games? What do you reckon after you've played maybe this one and ARK Survival Evolved? Before anyone gets really salty as they did on this video, I like both games. I love both games, but a man has to choose. Take it with a pinch of salt. I'll be taking a look at the positives and negatives of both games, and as in a few new things to measure for both of them. So make sure you like the video if you agree, or even if you disagree. Just appreciate the fact that I am brave enough to say Conan or ARK, which one is best? Okay, let's go through some stats. Conan Exiles has actually sold around 2 million or more copies since it launched full game May last year. Available on Xbox One, PS4 and PC on Steam, Conan Exiles has really excelled on console due to the lack of survival games on that platform. ARK Survival Evolved launched over 18 months ago out of early access, available on Xbox, PS4, PC and Nintendo Switch. The last count given by devs last year was that it sold over 12 million copies. And that number surely has increased since it did in fact launch on Nintendo Switch a few months ago. But what about players actually playing it today? Well, on Steam right now, ARK has been leading the way and always has done. ARK simply is one of the most successful survival games ever to be launched. On a daily basis, ARK Survival Evolved has peaks of players up to 40 to 50,000 still, with Conan Exiles only managing around 10,000 at its peak in the last few months. Conan Exiles did give ARK a run for its money though when it launched in May last year, only being a few hundred or so away from overtaking ARK for the one and only time. Since then, Conan hasn't managed to sustain the success on Steam. But Xbox and PS4 it has been moderately more successful, but still doesn't compare with the numbers that are available. So stats wise, even taking into account ARK has been around a little bit more, it's sold more copies and more people still play ARK than Conan. Both games really are quite similar, despite many people's attempts to say otherwise. They both rely on building and crafting to really get into the game. You really are going to be gathering lots of resources, and both games are really grindy. I think that's why so much of the player base plays both of these games. On Steam, ARK Survival Evolved has 69% positive review score. This gives it a mixed overall. In the last 30 days it's had a 43% positive review score. Conan Exiles pretty much overall has got the same sort of stats. 69% of the scores are overall positive. But in the last 30 days, 79% of the stats are mostly positive. And this leads me on to my first big point. In the last 10 months, Conan Exiles has far exceeded ARK Survival Evolved in terms of content and making sure that the game runs more stable. Both games had substantial content added over the last 10 months, ARK Survival Evolved having its paid DLC Extinction in November, as well as a free content update, the Homestead update, adding much requested features and new build pieces. Conan Exiles has also added in a bunch of content that they'd said was going to be coming maybe possibly during early access, but got pushed back after full release. Adding the Pets update last winter and a bunch of other paid cosmetic style DLCs. During the last 10 months, Conan Exiles for me has had very much more focus on making the game run more stable. It had its problems just like ARK does, and it really was a case of the development team cutting back a little bit on content and making sure that the game was up and running to suit players' needs. It's not perfect, neither game is. There are substantial problems both on Xbox, on PS4, particularly for Conan Exiles and ARK Survival Evolved. As you would expect, these huge, massive open world survival games are pushing both of these platforms to their limits. But the Funcom devs really did seem to focus on making sure that Conan Exiles was as stable as it could be before adding any more game-changing content. ARK Survival Evolved on the other hand shoehorned in Extinction paid DLC, which was already running 6 months late from its initial release date, and it was no way, shape or form ready. Even if you didn't want to buy the DLC, it caused massive issues, particularly on console once again. leaving hundreds of thousands of players not able to play their game properly because DLC had taken priority. The free content update they added earlier on this year, the Homestead update, did help and revitalise an ARK community that was on the decline. But it too also had a wealth of problems. It's a running joke that ARK Survival Evolved break more than they fix with every single update. Conan Exiles doesn't have the same stigma attached to it because they generally seem to be focusing more on making sure the game is running. They both for sure could do with more testing, but Conan Exiles has done more to make sure the game is more stable with every update by having test servers live. The wildcard devs of ARK Survival Evolved have only just started doing that in the last few months, whereas Funcom and Conan have done it for the last 18 months. In terms of a pure technical standpoint, ARK Survival Evolved is in a much worse spot than Conan Exiles. Maybe the pure scope of the game, ARK is much bigger. When you think about all the different moving parts, the amount of different types of servers, the way that you can transfer and cluster and move across servers, it causes, I'm sure, a lot of technical issues. But even just the basics of a single player game are very much mired in bugs and game breaking issues, and particularly on console that suffer the most, graphics are just looking like a potato. I don't think Conan Exiles really excels too much either. There seems to be a permanent fog or slight mist every time you boot up it on Xbox or PS4 that just isn't there on PC. As of 2019, if you really don't like bugs, glitches, really like to see developers putting effort into fixing their game, Conan Exiles wins. Now, before the PC players all suddenly switch off because I'm going on too much about console, let's take a look at the other big major factor and reason why people play PC. Mods. Conan Exiles has a whole bunch of mods that really help to improve the game and add more context, giving you different types of weapons, new skins, as well as various improvements to the game and how it runs. But what it really lacks is different ways to play it. Conan really does run a lot of RAM and it needs a lot to process and compute, much more than maybe ARK Survival Evolved does. And for that reason, certain mods just can't be built for Conan Exiles because of the nature and the size of them. That's why you don't see any real brand new maps. And this is a key feature for PC players. This is what's kept ARK Survival Evolved top dog for so long. It is the mod support. There are literally over 5,000 mods compared to only 1,000. There are literally over 5,000 ARK Survival Evolved mods compared to only 1,000 for Conan Exiles. Different maps, different creatures, brand new ways to play, new NPCs. ARK Survival Evolved right now does have the better mod systems. If you want a new land to explore, ARK will have your back. If you want new creatures to tame, it also will have your back. It's just a shame that overall, these mods don't run as well as they could because the base game is just so buggy. So for PC players out there looking for more life out of a game once you've done the main stuff, then mods on ARK absolutely smash Conan to bits. With the improvements, the stability that Conan Exiles has brought, the updates, the free content as well as the paid DLC, has it managed to make a dent? Spoilers, I gave ARK pretty much the winning vote. So I spoke about impact and overall the legacy that both of these games are going to leave. And definitely in the last 10 months, ARK has gone down in my estimation. As I mentioned earlier, the DLC that was paid for in November, Extinction, was literally the most rushed DLC I've ever seen. It's certainly the worst DLC out of the 3 that Wildcard released, and it really didn't give confidence launching DLC that was just so buggy and broken. Take away even the bugs and the brokenness of it, Extinction was just a bit of a letdown. Didn't have anywhere near the type of content that we got used to with DLC like Scorched Earth, and the map was a hodgepodge of previous maps we'd already played rather than something brand new exciting like Aberration. They tried to do something different, add in brand new Monster Hunter style big creatures. They wanted you to feel like you was in a Godzilla movie possibly. But it all just ended up being a big horrible mess and definitely tarnished the reputation of ARK in my opinion. But the last month has certainly helped Conan Exiles' cause. Going free to play on the PlayStation 4 was absolutely massive. Interesting, Conan Exiles went through the roof. So right now Conan's in a good place. It's going to be in the best place it's probably been for a while, as numbers had actually dipped very low before it went free to play. Maybe that was the reason Funcom decided to go ahead and partner up with Sony in offering it for free. Thoughts from various friends and subscribers playing on official servers spoke of ghost towns, literally only 2 or 3 people on a server at any one time. But since it went free to play, you can't get into the servers, absolutely having to spam and try and get in for up to 2 hours on occasion. Funcom clearly don't want to release more servers in case all the players suddenly get bored and move on to something else, but for sure there certainly wasn't enough. The impact of this has meant that Conan Exiles has got a much higher profile. I think Conan Exiles has definitely cemented itself as a real good alternative to ARK Survival Evolved. As legacies go though, even with ARK's tarnished reputation, I think ARK has just got that overall effect on people, the dinosaurs, the history of it over the last 3 to 4 years. It will take something pretty incredible for Conan Exiles to really excel and go past what ARK has done. So for impact and legacy, I'm still going to give it to ARK Survival Evolved. But that may all change, as I said, because the plans for the future are looking pretty good for Conan Exiles. Funcom, the developers and publishers of Conan Exiles, have got a busy 2 years ahead of them, launching multiple games and a brand new survival game coming in the next 2 years. Since it came out last year, it's had 4 different types of DLCs, all priced at $9.99. They give different looks to the game, they add a lot more content, and they're reasonably priced. When it's launched, each one of them has had some little issues here or there, but they've been quickly fixed and smoothed over in the most part, and players have really responded to getting new build pieces. It really can give life, especially on a game like Conan Exiles, which relatively has quite a small map. So freshening up how you play and the looks of it, I think is really key. They've got another 3 coming this year. Riders of Arborea, Blood and Sand, and Mysteries of Acheron pack. In terms of paid content, it is looking pretty good for Conan Exiles. But it's not just that they're excelling at, they're also giving lots of free content too. The Funcom devs recently released an update that adds in brand new content to their test live servers, brand new underwater dungeons, as well as a host of new weapons and armours. And this is one of 4 new dungeons being added into the game. There's another 3 yet to come. These content patches are absolutely free and they do add a substantial amount of content. They are dungeons that you simply teleport to, so while they're not certainly add-ons to the map where you can just run up and go wherever you want, they do add more endgame content, which is one of the biggest criticisms of Conan Exiles. There just isn't a lot to do once you've got through the main stuff. It also adds witchcraft, something along the lines of what we've always wanted, which was sorcery. We may not get everything that was promised during the early access, as they're still currently working on some aspects of what we asked for, but they are maybe doing their best to come to a compromise. People still want to see mounts in the game, and I think that would be the game changer for this one. If they could get some of these pets that you could tame and you could ride a camel, a horse or a rhino, I think that would take Conan Exiles to the next level. But technical limitations are clearly making that a very hard fought thing. Maybe if half the Wildcard development team hadn't jumped ship to work on Atlas, we may have seen much better results for ARK Survival Evolved in the last 10 months and the future. Content has been minuscule. Take away the free update for the Homestead, which pretty much added stuff they'd promised for such a long time, there's been no real huge excitement about content coming to ARK. YouTubers with clickbait are running amok because literally players are so desperate to find out any new stuff coming to the game. Instead, half the team went to found the company Grapeshot and work on Atlas, a mod that got turned into a full game. ARK has always been the masters of hype and have generally give players a heads up about what to expect, but in the last 18 months they've been pretty quiet on how content's going to be appearing, releasing only small tiny bits of info. For a game that has over 14 million players at this point, I find it staggering that we get no real idea of what to expect in a year coming. There is absolutely no reveals, no plans on whether or not we expect a season pass for new DLC or any more free content. All we know is that from some development live streams showcasing the brand new Homestead update recently, that they did say they were going to be working on content still and there would be some new content coming. That is a really poor approach to the fan base, the players that have supported you for so long. I'm sure when it does arrive it'll also probably be very broken still, just like it always has, but this kind of stuff really does make the community around ARK happy because we're getting brand new content. But nevertheless they do need to start letting players know what's going on, and currently ARK just aren't doing that. Their community teams got better in the last couple of weeks, giving talks and giving more information out, but relevant info about what to expect from the game that so many people put so many hours in is very hard to come by. And so for that reason, ARK Survival Evolved loses in terms of the future. ARK has just added a brand new forum hotspot where we can give suggestions and we'll see it upvoted. but I'm not confident in half of these changes being actually ever implemented into the game. Progress just really has slowed down on Ark Survival Evolved. So I've spoken a lot about Ark and Conan Exiles, around it, the hype, the future, the past, but what about right now, playing the game? Both games involve you heavily going out and getting lots of resources and grinding away, building up bases and taking on enemies. In terms of worlds, Ark Survival Evolved still holds it for me that it feels like a living, breathing world where danger is around every corner. Conan Exiles has gone a long way to improving that, adding more elite style bosses recently, but I still don't really feel that much in danger or that same sense of exploration or scope as I do as when I'm exploring Ark. From raptors to T-Rexes to massive different types of creatures on the other maps and DLCs, Ark feels alive. And even with the graphical problems and glitches, I still think Ark is one of the better looking games out there for its genre and its type. Foliage, the environment, the way that things are placed, it really is a great and fantastic looking game. Conan does have some really nice sights and it's got lots of really interesting points of interest, but its overall atmosphere is maybe just a little bit dark and moody and it just doesn't make me feel like I'm exploring a living, vibrant world. Maybe that's partly why Conan hasn't managed to really grab the attention of so many players that played Ark. But in terms of a living, breathing world, in terms of playing and enjoying the experience, Ark does win it for me still. There is always stuff to do in Ark Survival Evolved, there is always bosses to fight on different difficulties, and there is always different ways that you can play and enjoy the game. Whether it's trying to tame some dinosaurs you've never have, or exploring points or going across to the free DLCs. And when you factor in the paid DLCs and all the creatures they've got, overall the longevity, the amount of time that you could put into Ark is far gonna outweigh what you do in Conan. It can be a little bit tough comparing, as Conan really does only have the one map and one set of creatures. And so you have to look at the other experiences that it offers better. For sure, combat is better in my opinion Conan Exiles. The choice of weapons, armours, decorative pieces and the building in Conan is far superior. It's definitely got more appeal for people that really love the grind. It's not grinded just because it's hard, it's not grinded because you have to go and get billions of resources, although it is. It's grinded because you have to slowly increase your armour and weapons, slowly increase your base building. Ark Survival Evolved has their tech suits and their tech armours and their endgame content, and it's still pretty strong. And this is where I'm going to flip-flop back to Ark and say that even though I don't like tech as an endgame product, it still offers a better endgame than Conan Exiles. That's all part of what I mentioned earlier about what you can do in Ark. You can take on the bosses at higher difficulties, there are always going to be creatures you've never tamed. It just does, because of the scope, different maps offer more than Conan Exiles. With the new dungeons being added, I'm really confident Conan Exiles is going to turn that around a little bit. But even with everything they're doing, I still don't think they're going to be able to match the output that Ark has. Funcom have gone for quality over quantity. And some players will really love that, and other players will really just always be looking for the next shiny new thing. Now, one thing that I got criticised a lot in my previous video was I didn't talk enough about the avatars of Conan Exiles. The gods, that side of the endgame. And while it's true, they are pretty impressive. They've added more to it as well. And we now have 6 gods to choose from when you're trying to take on your enemies. It still feels a little bit redundant unless you are actually playing on official PvP servers. So let's talk about how it works in PvP for both games. Conan Exiles pretty much allows you to summon these gods, these avatars, to take down your enemies. It can be grindy getting the resources needed and the level requirements to do this, and the end result is a god or an avatar to wreak vengeance on whoever you so wish. They're pretty effective, but they're also pretty glitchy and buggy still too. In a PvP setting, Conan Exiles does for me shade Ark Survival Evolved. But not because of the gods or because of the endgame, simply just because of the core functions of it. Ark Survival Evolved's PvP is absolute trash. Relying on spam foundation building, absolute ridiculous amounts of turrets and bridges, doorways, gateways, obstructions, breeding hundreds and hundreds of dinosaurs to pretty much fill up the server limit. Ark PvP is pretty much a bad joke. With most of the PvP consisting of offline raiding also, Ark's PvP really is not a great way to play the game. It's enjoyable, I'm sure, for a lot of people that love Ark Survival Evolved. For so long it overtakes people's lives And it really is unhealthy how much time you have to put into the game only for it to be wiped out in space of 20 minutes by a bigger tribe. Opening up the servers across the whole network so that you could jump from one server to another really was the death knell of Ark Survival Evolved. It pretty much gave rise to these huge alpha tribes, and although they do have some clusters that are shut off from each other, and there are certain other game modes like small tribes, the big main focus is still that offline PvP. Conan Exiles does have its similar way, but with its PvE conflict servers where you literally can only attack during set times and you can't destroy people's bases, it offers a different approach to combat. It also has timed combat as well, so it's only open during the busiest windows wherever you are in the world, and you can really have some fun building up defences and stopping players from trying to get in. That just doesn't rely on building ridiculous turret towers. Going out there and making sure you've got the best armor, weapons and you're prepped for potions is one of the best ways to play the game. If you like PvP, if you like combat, if you like not having to literally put every minute of your game time into it, then Conan Exiles wins PvP for me. Hopefully I'll give you better understanding of both games and what I feel the future of them is going to be and how they kind of line up at the moment. If you want a game that you don't have to sink every waking moment of your life into, if you want a game that you can play structured, good PvP, if you like building, you like exploring, but doing it on a smaller scale, and you don't mind some more basic elements of AI and fighting, then Conan Exiles is going to be the game for you. It's got a more stronger foundation for the future, and currently right now it's got a better stability. Ark Survival Evolved is pretty much in still a bit of a mess. With no real clear direction, no real plans for the future, PvP is an absolute freefall because of all the problems and issues with meshing. Ark really is better played on PvE or just on a single player or private servers. Mods help prolong the life for sure on PC, and the fact that the world is still so vibrant and really makes it feel like you're exploring a living planet is what makes Ark special to me. The choice and the variety in different things you can do in taming creatures is really what keeps this game alive. So if you don't necessarily like the idea of spending your time chasing after dinosaurs like Pokemon, then Ark Survival Evolved won't be for you. Go and watch the first video I did. Let me know what you think about that one, and now let me know what you think after this one. Guess it boils down to final opinion. What game should you be playing in 2019 if you really want a survival experience? Conan has done absolute bunches to really improve itself over the last 10 months. It's added new content, it's fixed a lot of issues. I've got more of an understanding of how the end game works and some of the later stages. It's a really tough one, but there's something about Ark Survival Evolved. Maybe because I played that one first, maybe because it was the real big behemoth and it showed the template for what other games could do. It's no secret that Conan Exiles development team were going out of business. Their whole company was about to fold. They looked around and said, what can we make money on? And they suggested that they would be able to do something with a survival game. Conan is a great job and it is a great survival game, and I highly recommend both of them. And even with all its problems, its issues and the lack of future content, to me right now, if you've never played both, Ark Survival Evolved is going to be the one that I would recommend. It has more wonder, there are more chances for you to feel like you're in a living, breathing world, and that's what a survival game should mean. Both have their grind, but Ark Survival Evolved has different ways to play that grind. Relying on dinosaurs or relying on yourself, the way that you can explore brand new maps, whether it's free or paid. I think that really gives Ark the slight edge. Agree, disagree, keep it nice and clean. I'm going to continue doing lots more content on Conan Exiles, much more than I'll be doing on Ark. Simply because I feel like I have run a lot of its course with Ark Survival Evolved until they do give some new stuff out. So don't worry, I'm not suddenly about to start playing Ark every day. They're both fantastic survival games. Both have their pluses and both have their negatives. But in 2019, if you had to choose, if you've only got $50 and you can only buy one of them, I'm still going to say Ark Survival Evolved. Don't forget to like the video, even if you disagree with my findings. Who knows, hopefully I'll be back in 2020 giving you another chance to see if Conan Exiles can finally beat Ark Survival Evolved. Or maybe we're talking about Rust on console, or the brand new survival game that the Funcom devs are working on based on June. I am Jade, thank you for watching, I will see you ratbags very soon.